sodium, calcium, or lithium hydroxide. You need to stay away from all types of hair color until you can get at least 2 weeks in between. Then you can come back and make a good choice, and also have a safe visit with your stylist.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking to Mr. Gino Evans out of Memphis, Tennessee. Gino, it's been great talking to you, and I would like for you to share your information once again, because unfortunately our
Did you know a school-ready child needs a parent to look up to? While they're looking up to them, they need to see a mother with a degree and loose-fitting clothes. If you don't know these things, you better ask somebody. This Narrow Path message is brought to you by Community Rule Literacy Nonprofit. We bring literacy skills to the community.
Good afternoon. We are here at Jennifer to the Rescue, and it's back on it's Thursday afternoon already, and it's 12 noon. Well, actually, it's a few minutes past, probably. I can't see a clock. But here we are on the RadioNext.tv dial, I guess it's, or the channel, or the log on, or whatever, and Cool Groove, and we're really happy to be here, aren't we, Tracy? You're over there. You're trying to be quiet, aren't you? It's actually kind of quiet in here.
Look, without Mr. HB.
I know, for some reason we don't have HB around. We miss him, but Tracy, it's nice to have you here. And I come here every week, all excited about my guests, and all excited about what are we going to end up talking about. But Jennifer Johnson, Jennifer to the Rescue, I am your lyrical appreciation expert, and what do? I do a lot of stuff, but basically in a nutshell it is I help connect and celebrate those people, those relationships in your life that you can't wait until next week to do that. I don't know about you, but for some reason this last couple of weeks I've had a lot of really weird things happening in my world. A lot of people dying and a lot of sicknesses, and actually sang for a funeral yesterday. But I just came to, the reality of it is that life is too short to not connect and celebrate those people. Don't wait till tomorrow because it might be too late. So we're here to connect you with a number of wonderful people. And Radio Next is all about that anyway. But my show, we get to have wonderful guests on. And today, one of my guests is Jennifer Seaver Stokes with Tuned In Coaching. Are you here?
Yes.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're happy to be here. You and I met. We're happy to be here. We're hoping you're happy to be here. I said that and I'm thinking, oh, that sounds goofy. Okay, we were trying to decide if we've known each other for a year almost, or maybe not. Time just flies by. We were at a business networking event, and you were going around talking, and I was at a booth, and I don't know, there's just people that I kind of connect with, and I use that word a lot, obviously, but connections are what we're all about anyway. But there's just those times when there's connections, and you're like, I know that I'm supposed to get to know that person. And Jennifer, I don't even know if I really knew your name was Jennifer, but we had that in common already. And Jennifer, tell us about Jennifer. I mean, are you originally from Indiana?
No, actually, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh.
And what I really like about what you're sharing today a little bit is connecting.
That's exactly.
The tagline for my company, which is Tuned In Coaching, is about connecting you with your inner genius. So when we kind of connect with what we know we're supposed to be doing, what talents we naturally have. As a coach, that's what I love to work with people, whether it's a small business or individuals. It's that connection with who you are and how you express yourself in your job and your relationships.
Well, I was going to actually ask you, I always try to research, and I had a little note said, where did the name come from? But I think you might have already kind of told us that it was, well, maybe, is there a story, though?
There is, actually. So while I help my clients through the coaching process tune into their inner genius, my professional training is as a classical pianist.
Ooh, I like that.
Master's in music, and I think that's one of the connection we have, this love for music and performance.
Yeah.
So I am a pianist, and so tuned in coaching had kind of a double meaning.
Oh yes, actually, now I'm sitting here thinking that does have a good tuned in. So you're in tune when you're working with Jennifer Seaver-Stokes, and you came from Cleveland, and that's what you said, right? I was taken back because we're from Ohio originally too, and I'm like, I guess that wasn't something we ever talked about. We didn't come from Cleveland; we're from the Toledo area. So you then moved here.
Well, I've done a great big circle of the Midwest, actually.
Oh, really?
I went to Northwestern University in Evanston for a music degree, and then came down to IU and completed a master's in piano performance. Moved to Cincinnati, the Detroit area, West Lafayette, and now I've been in Indianapolis for the past 16 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm sitting here thinking every week Renee, who is not here at the moment, hopefully she'll visit us here in a little bit, she always says I get too excited about all my, well, she didn't say it that way. She just says that I get, kind of in awe of my guests. But when you say you have a master's degree in classical piano, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, that is pretty awesome. I was a music major for 2 years and was going to teach, I thought I was going to teach vocal music. The dedication to that. So there is a story, obviously, that took you from being a classical pianist, master degreed classical pianist, to what you're doing now. And you've been here for 16 years. Well, do you want to tell the story, or do you want to... You kind of... Go ahead. You're shaking your head like, yeah, you do. Okay, go ahead.
What I realized was that what we learn as musicians through practicing and performance and being connected with music, any kind of music, it doesn't have to be classical music, it can be any kind of music that you connect with and resonates with you. First of all, when we talk about coaching and so many other things in life, we use so many musical terms. And,
Really?
resonate, the vibration and all those kinds of things are musical terms that we use for other things. Anyway, when I thought about it, I really had a master coach since I was in 3rd grade. A weekly instructor, mentor, wisdom source, my whole life. And while some people say, oh, it's just your piano teacher, I've had some absolutely wonderful, wonderful people in my life that I learned a lot from through piano instruction, through music instruction, music experiences. So tune-in coaching is really sharing everything that musicians learn, especially when we play with other people. We have to be very intuitive, very emotionally intelligent when we perform together and we play off of each other, just like Jennifer and I are doing on this show today.
They can't see us.
But we look great.
Yeah.
You
do.
We know kind of how to play off of each other, and a lot of that comes from our musical experiences. So when I work with clients as a coach, I help them to dig into their talents and understand at the core what they are really good at. Each person is better than 10,000 other people at one thing. And figuring out what those things are that you really bring to the table. And willing to accept what you don't bring to the table and honoring someone else that does bring it to the table is a part of the coaching process, just like you would be in any great music ensemble. So that's kind of what
I love it. I love it. I knew there was a reason I invited you to this show, because that's what I was trying to find a thing. I'll see on a break if I can find it. But there was a Facebook post the other day that was really all about music, and I posted it, and I thought, that's what I want. That's exactly how I feel. I'm not the master's piano player, but or pianist, but I've been doing music forever, and everything you just said is exactly what. And I keep thinking, boy, I've learned a lot through my music, but I didn't ever have anybody really put it into words, because I've always been a vocalist. I play a lot of instruments, don't play them any I shouldn't say it. I don't play them well enough to be my own accompaniment. So I've always had to work with other musicians, sung in choirs, and man, there's so much you have to be able to do to be part of an ensemble. Or just the discipline to rehearse, or, to practice every day. What a great thing. What a great thing that I didn't, golly gracious, I should have written that down. I am recording this. I'll listen to it later. But so we were talking about, and I think we have a minute or so here before we take a break. Is there a clear-cut difference, or is there a clear-cut answer to the question, what is coaching and what isn't coaching? Did you already kind of say that in a roundabout way? You probably did.
Well, there are guidelines, of course, set out by the International Coach Federation.
Oh.
However, really each coach is going to set their own parameters based on their background. There are coaches that have social work certifications or even psychology certifications and degrees. So everyone, that is a great question, actually, to ask anyone you might consider working with. Personally, I don't have those psychology degrees. I have excellent coach training. I'm a certified ICF coach and an international, from the International Coach Federation, and certified through the accredited program at the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. And I know one of the things we want to talk about today is kind of what happened in my life at the point I started my coach training.
Mm-hmm.
So we can
what kind of took you that direction? Yes, and what I was thinking, you just said something. So there is actually a actual what did you call it? International Coaching Foundation?
International Coach Federation.
Federation.
And I actually went to the Midwest Conference in Cleveland, which was my hometown.
Isn't that funny?
I got to go back to my hometown. And it was a wonderful 3 days. There's a big presence of Indianapolis coaches at that conference. And I learned so much. Weatherhead is the business school there at Case. They had a big presence there with wonderful presentations about this is not just let's sit down and have fun. There's a science to coaching. And the wonderful thing was that the coach benefits on a molecular level or on an endorphin level as much as the client through
Sure.
the coaching process. And really, Jennifer, when it comes down to, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I want to be working in an area where I feel good, and that it benefits me as much as the people I work with, because that's part of my healthcare program.
Right. Oh, exactly. You know what? We're going to
call 317-259-8077. Hours of operation, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. Raw Ripple Appliance. We can't wait to see you there.
The Frenzy.
We are back. It's I keep saying it's Thursday. It's like I don't believe this week it's been a very, very busy week. Hey, this is Jennifer to the rescue, Jennifer Johnson, here at Radio Next on the Cool Groove stream. I always like that, Cool Groove. And I almost forgot to start recording. I'll have to say that, yeah, see, Renee shows up and everything, it just like, man, this falls into place. I was going to say it's because I was, listen, Renee just said she knows she's taking up electric guitar, and it kind of caught me off guard. She didn't bring it today, though, and probably won't bring it for months, right? Okay, thank you. We have this wonderful guest. And Renee, you are Elite Coordinators. Before we forget that, Elite Coordinators, Renee Gates. You have anything going on today?
Not today.
Not today.
Just with you.
Just hanging out with us. Well, this is cool. This is cool then. Good, because we really have a wonderful guest, Jennifer Sievers-Stokes with Tuned In Coaching. And right before we took the break, Jennifer was talking about her own personal health care plan is being happy in where you work, or what you do in your work. And I know there's a story behind, we're talking about Tuned In Coaching and And tell us the story, I guess. Take it from there, Jennifer.
Right. Well, as a pianist, I had a lot of jobs in the area. I did a lot of performing and things.
I'm going to plug her into a job here soon because I just think we got to do this. Jennifer and Jennifer.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going, Jennifer. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to stop.
Anyway, you know what? I turned 50. There it is.
Me too. The best of us, it happens.
But I understand what you're saying.
I don't really want to know how old you are, Renee, so we won't go there. Okay, keep talking, Jennifer.
Anyway, at that point, I just knew that it was time to change some things up, and I decided to invest in myself at age 50. So I wanted to go to coach training. So I started coach training. I went to a weekend long class with Marianne Williamson up in upstate New York. I took a course in training and development, to do corporate training. And then, as I was just about ready to finish my coach training, I encountered a really major medical issue. I had a really tough C-section with my son, who's now 18. And, not to give too many details, it ended up with a really, really major surgery at University of Chicago with 2 surgical teams. 9 hours later, they did an amazing job. And, I didn't work really for about 18 months. But what happened was that I used all the skills I had gained in coaching. I used all the skills I knew from being a pianist, connecting with music, practicing, different kind of meditations and things every day to heal myself and to get me through this. So it was just fabulous that the coaching skills and things I learned, I was able to use for my own health care to provide for myself. And
she wasn't kidding. She really used it for her own. I mean, I knew she wasn't kidding. I just meant it was a mental, but this sounds like it was even more physical. It's just being able to help yourself get better and get over this emotional, physical, horrible ordeal you're going through. So, yeah.
But it was, really having the partnership of a lot of coaches I was going through the training with held me accountable. There was actually a man up in Wisconsin I called and I said, "You are the toughest coach I know. I need you on my team for the next 4 weeks because I had to exercise as much as I could to raise the oxygen level in my blood so I could get through this surgery." And during the surgery, they said, we just couldn't believe this was supposed to be 2 surgeries over the course of a year, 2 or 3 surgeries. And they said, "You were doing great." So we just kept going. Wow. So really, that's the power of coaching. Now, I had great friends, people that supported me, and I'm so blessed and thankful for what they did. Coaching, however, is the accountability. And the partners I had as coaches, they held me accountable for sticking with what I needed to do to get better, to recover. And so that's the difference between having great friends and family that, we love you and we support you, that the coach is going to hold you accountable and challenge you. You know what? You can get up and do that. And how can you use your strengths and the natural talents you have to get through this and survive and thrive?
And you did it. She was talking about accountability partners earlier, and we were talking about what an accountability partner is and what they aren't. And obviously, you just answered the question. I mean, friends and family are going to be supportive, but they're probably not going to be great at accountability because they're too easily swayed, right? And they want it's an emotional. So what is your spouse could be an accountability, but you kind of earlier said that now they have to be trained how to do that. So is that right? Is that?
Yes. I work a lot with strengths. Understanding the strengths of the other person. For example, with my son, I had a 15-point list of how to activate his top 5 strengths according to StrengthsFinder. And when he would come in the door after school, and I know he can't hear me right now because he's at basic training in Fort Sill right now, but school was not easy for him, and when he would come in the door, I was able to activate his strength, or a natural talent he has. He has ideation, so I'd ask him, hey, do you have a good idea about how to do this and this? And boy, he would just flip and say, oh yeah. And he would kind of recover from being at a place all day. He wasn't really comfortable for him. So yes, we can train and we can learn about each other so we can activate the best in each other.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I wish I knew that. And ideation is one of the things that you learned in your, it's part of your training.
Ideation is...
I mean, that's something everybody knows.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Okay.
No. Thank you, Renee.
Well, okay. Good. I feel better now.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. What is ideation?
So, ideation is one of the 34 strengths laid out by Gallup's Strengths Finder assessment. So I have ideation and my son has it. We share that. So the good thing is if you want a great idea, and this is really helpful to my clients, you want a great idea, I'm your gal. I can come up with lots of ideas. But if you want everything to be exactly the same all the time, I need to learn to keep my mouth shut. Because too many ideas for some people is really overwhelming.
Yes, yeah, that is so true.
Are you looking at me for a reason?
Only because I was talking to you.
I think, honestly, okay, so...
Well, it just puts me in the mind of love languages.
Excellent connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah. Right.
So knowing how to communicate with the person, how you communicate. So some may like communicate with giving or affirmations. People, my husband loves affirmations.
Uh-huh.
So, oh, you did so great. That was good. Mm-hmm. So just learn how to talk to people. So that just reminded me of that.
Right. So when we, yesterday was my daughter's birthday. She turned 23.
So you have a daughter and a son.
Right.
Oh, wow. Okay. She turned 20?
23.
23. Okay.
And, I'm a single parent. I've been divorced for almost 10 years. So, anyway, when she was born, it was that whole thing of, wow, she did not come with a manual. Right?
No.
I mean, I know the basics, but this is not specific to exactly her talents and strengths. And when you dip into the strengths conversation, you start to have the tools to create a manual for yourself. This is how I want to be treated. This is how I want you to work with me. And when you work with me this way, boy, we're all going to succeed. You're going to have a lot of good energy. But it's also helped me create kind of a manual for the people in my life, how to work with them.
Oh, yeah.
And it just creates this great energy.
Oh, wow. I was thinking, Jennifer and I are part of a networking group, Northside Networking, that's up in Noblesville. And yesterday, our business tip was all about strengths, and it was just like, oh my gosh, you think that was a coincidence? I don't think so. I think that there's a higher power taking care of us this week, making sure and I think you mentioned that yesterday, something about that. That's a very cool, I don't know, that's not the right word. That's just awesome. That's awesome.
Right. And the other thing that I do is energy mastery. So if those of you that are listening were here in this room, you would see all the smiles in this room right now.
That's energy.
That's energy. So I also, once you kind of figure out what your talents are, figuring out how you're showing up. A lot of times we can't see clearly how we are showing up. Even if we're dipping into our talents, if we feel like a victim, we're really angry about something, it just doesn't fly like it could if we were really aware. So we've got lots of smiling, nodding faces here today.
It is fun. I was trying to think, is that something that you you spend a few minutes with somebody, you can tell them what their strengths are? I'm just wondering if you can identify mine. I have no idea. Okay. All right.
I think it's a series of questions.
Well, is that what it is? Okay, I was thinking maybe you had some, you just got some perception. I don't know. I've talked to Jennifer a few times. I thought maybe she could do that.
Well, I think one of the things that we all have in common in this room is one of the strengths is connectivity. Or connectedness.
So that is a strength.
One of the strengths is connectedness. And not to talk too much about my family, but what I really appreciate about my kids is that all three of us share connectedness. So we're able to see the big picture. Doesn't mean they always text me back. It doesn't mean they return phone calls. It means we have a big picture view of life. So we can manage what's important based on a big picture.
That's kind of hard. I mean, I'm not going to say your children aren't that way because my children are about the same age and they actually are starting to do that more. They're more, I think I'm getting what you're saying about that because I definitely believe they see it better now. They're not little, they're not younger, they're a little older, they've seen some things happen, they realize that the big picture is there are important things and they're not is that kind of, I mean, they're kind of, now they do text us back. Actually, our daughters are pretty good about that. My son's not very good at it. But that's, I think at least for me, I'm seeing them being a little more perceptive of, the things that are important and not. So does that have anything to do with that?
And it makes sense. My daughter will be doing a year of service before she goes to medical school with the Mercy Volunteer Corps in Savannah. So she's decided on a year of service, and my son, like I said, is in basic training for the National Guard. So it makes sense, knowing their strengths, that they've chosen service and kind of a big picture item to be a part of their life.
You should be very proud of them. That's very exciting. I know you are. You're smiling. You're smiling. I know that we're going to take a break in a minute, but Jennifer, tell us again how they contact you.
My company is called Tuned In Coaching, and the website is www.tunedincoaching.com, TUNEDINCOACHING. And if you'd like to email me, it's jennifer@tunedincoaching.com. I would love to hear from you if you have a chance to go to that website. On the right-hand side, I would invite you to join the Tuned In Coaching community. I send out an email newsletter every 2 or 3 weeks. And there's also a little thing that you can receive called 6 Simple Steps to Success, which is a little coaching survey that'll take you through a little bit of a coaching session on your own to see kind of what coaching is like.
I think we're all going to go get on that website and get those 6 simple steps to success. We sure are. We are going to be back in a few minutes with our guest, Jennifer Seaver-Stokes. She's not leaving yet because she's got a little more to share. And our new guest that walked in while we were all talking, Karen Wilczewski. I said it right. There you go. And when we come back, Karen can tell us a little bit about what she did.
Well, I had mentioned that I had a medical issue that really disrupted my launching of my coaching practice, and I didn't work a lot for about 18 months. And during that time, I knew that I needed a coach. And so there is an organization, a non-for-profit, right here in Indianapolis called Women for Change Coaching Community. And it is an organization whose mission is to provide coaching for all women. At this point, they offer 12 weeks of coaching for a small registration fee.
Okay, start again because I forgot to start recording. It's called Women for Change Coaching
Community.
Okay, do it again. Yeah, go ahead.
Women for Change Coaching Community. And it was started here in Indianapolis by Lynn Zettler, a business coach, a very successful business coach. And the mission of this organization is to provide coaching to all women specifically women that have an adjusted gross income less than $40,000 a year, or are going through a major transition. It may be a divorce, the loss of a job, re-entering the workforce, any one of those things. So I actually qualified in the midst of recovering from this major surgery, and had a business coach that helped me start my newsletter. And I never realized how much I loved to write. So as soon as I was able, I became a coach for the organization. And I have found in my coaching practice that I really help people get jobs. Either keep the job they already have or get a job that really matches their strengths and abilities. So I've been able to help several of the Women for Change clients that I have, as well as my personal clients in lots of areas of their lives. I always say getting a job is much like finding a new relationship. It's online. You have to have a good resume and a great picture, right?
Good point. That's a good one.
So anyway, the Women for Change coaching community, I'm a coach, and now I'm working as the outreach coordinator, and we have a relationship with Dress for Success here in Indianapolis.
Oh, awesome.
And we're expanding those offerings. The website for Women for Change coaching community is WOMEN, the number 4, the word change, CHANGE, and then CC, coachingcommunity.org. I always have to look at that. And we would love for you to check out the website. There's a great success story that I wrote about one of my clients on that website, and we have some YouTube videos about one of our clients that was a guest speaker for the Dress for Success Stepping Out Style benefit event that occurred last fall. So when I work with my clients, those that are wanting new jobs, not just the ones that want new relationships, we work on their strengths and how they're showing up and what energy they're showing up with. And we try to put that down on paper. And I'm so excited today to meet your other guest.
You'd think we'd planned this, and I did plan it, but I didn't realize how much there's this greater power taking care of everybody. But who is our guest, Jennifer?
Well, Karen with Top Dog Communications, and I'm excited to hear about her work.
Yes. Well, I actually know, this is Jennifer Johnson again. I know all these Jennifers, but that was a great way to segue into what Karen does. Can I just, and we'll get, because Karen helps you exactly with what Jennifer was just sharing, but who are you trying to connect with, Jennifer, for the Women for Change? I mean, who would be, I actually have some people that I'm trying to connect with you, or a lady, and I'm thinking, how does somebody know, or should they just go on the Women for Change cc.org and see if it's, you know what I mean? How do they know if they're a potential, or how do they I don't know. What's the step?
How do they know if you are able to help,
Yeah, what would be go to the website.
Yeah. Well, the power of coaching, once again, is that you have an outside trained accountability partner.
Right.
And so just like we wouldn't have a professional football team here without a coach, right?
Right, exactly.
So each one of us, when we're ready to have that partnership and we're really ready to move forward. Remember, counseling and therapy are so critical, but they do go into the past. Coaching is always about moving us forward. So when you're in a great place, I've gone through a divorce, probably wasn't ready for a coach in the midst of that divorce, but boy, once I had kind of gotten through it and worked through some things, I was ready to move forward. And when you are ready to move forward with a new business, with a new job, a new relationship, or just a new you, that coaching partnership accelerates your growth, accelerates your movement down the path that is your agenda. Remember, the coach is only about your agenda. And like having a mentor in your work situation, really, that person is still concerned about the bottom line of that business.
Right.
So I specialize in the business of life. I'm going to help you with your job, but we're not going to miss out how your personal relationships are, because those are going to affect your job, how you show up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So once you figure out, you get in the good place, now you got the strengths, and now you know what you need to do. Now you need to put it out there, and that is where we come to Karen Wilczewski. That's an interesting last name. Wilczewski. I like that. It's good. And Top Dog Communications. And we were sitting here on the break with all kinds of things kind of, we're all sitting here talking about, oh, this is so cool. We're all connected. And Top Dog Communications, and it's topdogcom.com.
Yeah, I always tell people that there's a com on both sides of the period, because people, like when they repeat it back to me when I give them my email address, they'll say topdog.com. It's like, no, it's topdogcom.com. And then I make a point there is a com on both sides of the period.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. And if you go to topdogcommunications.com, it brings up something else. So you won't want that. How would they know it's yours? I know why I would know it's yours, because it's...
My logo has
yes.
a dog and wearing a top hat. And that all came about from my working, Jennifer, with a life coach. And that came from
really?
me. And Top Dog, the dog being there, and I always envisioned him having a top hat. The message I want to convey is that I provide my clients high-quality work with a sense of humor. If you can't have fun doing what you do, hang it up. It's not worth it.
Kind of running through the whole show today. If you're not having fun, don't be doing it. I mean, Jennifer kind of alluded to, we all want to enjoy what we're doing. So.
And my tagline, ladies, is we capture your tail, T-A-L-E. Everyone has a story to tell, so we capture your tail.
And it is very cute, very cute. And I met Karen in another networking environment, another world. We all do networking, and I just really enjoyed Karen's. She just made me feel very comfortable. And you say, and I know that we've got a lot of time to talk, but you can help somebody with the creative end of their writing or the brainiac end of the right.
Everyone has a right and left brain, and the right brain is where the creative comes from. And that's where I work with general clients who need writing services of a wide nature. They could use like website copy, they could use blogs, they could use newsletters. Jennifer, for your,
brochure.
The card that the group that you belong to.
Oh, I've got it here. Yes.
Women for Change, I can help them with crafting their resume once you've identified their strengths. And then there's a position that they want to go after. There's like keywords that may show up in what the job posting, and you take a lot of those keywords and you work them into the individual's resume. And then if you're allowed to do a cover letter, you can take one or 2 points and really play them up or emphasize them in the cover letter and grab the employer's attention there, and then get them to want to look into the resume to find out more of where the fit is. One example I recently had that was very challenging, I worked with a person who has been selling on eBay for the last 10 years. And then he was going for a position at a local college as an online bookstore manager. And I had to help make the connection between the skills and the high ratings that he got on eBay working with his clients, and have the employer see those skills can overlay onto the position he was applying for. And there's an art to that. So I help people do that. Also, with the fact that people are texting these days, formal correct English is a lost art. And I love it. And you'll always kind of see me not taking those shorthand notes in texting. I'll always take the time to spell things out properly. But with it being a lost art, when someone wants to communicate, there can be errors, there can be things that need to be fixed, and that's where the editor in me comes out. And when you were saying that when you were working when you need a coach, we all, another way that, a way of looking at coaches, an editor can be a coach, because you can do the writing and then an editor can come in and see it from a completely different point of view, help make what you're saying better, help enhance it, make it clearer. And
I know, I'm goofing around with a selfie. I was trying for Karen. Karen is never at a loss for words, but at the moment she is. Okay, everybody's like, what is taking them so long? It's because I've got them distracted. Okay, Karen, I didn't mean to stop your flow. Go ahead. I'm going to put my camera away. It is funny, actually. The words, do you call yourself a wordsmith, though?
oh yes, definitely.
Okay, that was what I thought the word was.
Lyrical appreciation.
I'm the lyrical appreciation. I'm the one taking pictures and singing songs on the radio. Karen is the serious writer, or she's the writing professional. I am not. Sorry, Karen. Do you know where you left off?
You will sing what Karen writes.
Yeah, there we go. Go ahead, Karen. And she has an infectious laugh as well. It's very fun to spend time with her. Go ahead, Karen. Sorry about that.
There's the writing and the editing. The way I look at the editing, I see the person who's copy I'm editing, they do the heavy lifting, they do the research, they do the writing, and that is like one part of a person, and then I come in as a neutral party and look at it and say, okay, how can I help them say it better? And to me, that's the easy part. That just comes so natural. And people have told me, like, wow, you made it sound so much better. This is exactly what I intended to say, but you just helped me say it better. And it's like, that comes naturally to me. And for what I do, and I'm sure for what we all do in this room, we all need to be excellent listeners. And when someone is talking to me, my mind kind of like pulls certain phrases out, and words just come to me. I was working with Nancy Sunshine.
Who's actually going to be a guest in a few weeks, and we're just going to have fun sitting here saying Nancy Sunshine. That's all we're going to... Sunshine, sunshine. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Spiff up her LinkedIn profile. And at the top of the LinkedIn profile, there are like bullets like, who are you? And we came up with one part of a phrase was, she's a ninja. And it was like, this is so perfect. It just captures, you can just see or picture a ninja in your mind. And she's so caring, and she wants to help others grow their businesses, and ways that she's done that. And I just listened to her talk, and then words come to me, and phrases, and I just, capture that. And it just takes, good listening skills and then my mind just processes it. And like, when I've played games with people on a social basis and everything, and particularly word games,
we want her on our team.
Definitely.
People would say, oh, I can tell you're an editor. Well, it just comes naturally. I can't
I
help
need her
it.
to just look at my website and edit.
I'd be glad to.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that funny? Yes.
That is wonderful.
Karen, how would they get hold of you then? I know we're going to talk more. We still have plenty of time to cover a lot of what you do. How would they get hold of you the best?
Well, they can reach me through my email address, which is Karen@topdogcom.com.
Right.
Or my cell phone is 317-508-4917. Or my office phone is 317-849-9022.
And you can actually certainly connect with me on jennifertotherescue.com. And if you ask me about my guests on my shows and stuff, I will definitely get that for you if you need that as well. But Karen's not leaving yet. oh my goodness, there's so many questions. I know you do the creative stuff, and Karen and I actually worked together because she helped me write something that I needed to put together a couple months ago, and I've used it as a springboard for many other things. I am unique, so spending time with me was probably, I think just knowing that when she's explaining how she does it, we sat together and I told her what I wanted to accomplish with my, it was actually a speech that I've then taken all the words and used them in many other environments. So it's been a wonderful platform to use.
And it's a very interactive process.
It definitely is. And we know that you have a number of things to your credit, and we will be back. Renee, are you thinking of questions for Karen?
Yes.
Are you looking up words that you're going to stump her with? That will probably be... That would be the trick. I know that there's, research, interviewing, writing. Let's see. Well, you do say right here, good writing tells a story. And if you want a company that produces high quality writing, creative environment, that would definitely be Karen. So we are not done. We still have a little bit of time here before Mary Pat McKee with the
New York. I worked in Manhattan 5 years, and my brother is 2 years older than me, and he got married, and he had aspirations to travel the country and do all kinds of traditional guy stuff, and it was like a role reversal. Once he got married, he had 2 children right off and settled in Queens, New York, and I got the bug to get away. I had 3 ideas. I was either wanting to go to fashion design school, or I wanted to work in volunteers in service to America Vista, or a grade school friend went to Ball State, invited me out to homecoming. I got a taste of Indiana, and after that visit, I went back home, and I told my mom I was going to move to Muncie, and she said, "Oh, move to Indianapolis, it's a bigger city." Ironically, my parents met in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And one year, I just, in September, threw everything in my car that I owned and drove with a college friend of the gal that I went to school with, and so we drove out together, and I just very, very quickly grew up and kind of got into writing and editing at one job that I worked at Wishart. I did public relations at Wishart Hospital, got lots of media relations experience. Was going to school at night to get a degree. I got like a 2-year degree, and then I went back full-time and got my journalism degree. And I always just loved working on publications much more than the PR component, but just always had a love of words. One of the requirements for the PR assistant job that I applied for at Wishart, when I was married, I went on a honeymoon and I kept journal notes of our trip to South America, and I took pieces of that trip and I put it into a writing exercise that I submitted for consideration, and that played a big part in my getting accepted into that position as PR assistant. And while I was at Wishart, I had an interest. I used to interview and do feature stories on different departments in the hospital, and one got my attention. It was occupational therapy, because I was really fascinated with all the opportunities that occupational therapists have in terms of dealing with people. And then I discovered you have to have math and science. And those are not my strengths. So I said, okay, I'm going to stick with words, and I'll just continue. And I went back to school full-time for 3 years, and I got my journalism degree, and just, kind of went from there. And in 1997, I went out on my own full-time and haven't looked back since.
You went out in 1997 as the wordsmith that you are now?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, then I not that somebody's starting something new I'm not impressed with. I am very much impressed, but it's pretty neat when you're talking to somebody and they've been doing what they're doing since 1997. And
interesting story too, Jennifer.
Yeah.
My mother spoke 7 languages. My dad spoke 2. The only language my brother and I were exposed to growing up, because the only common language was English. So I feel like I had a legacy of, with all this rich history of language in my family, and the only thing I know is English, that I feel like I need to know it as well as I can. So I just have really taken to English and journalism and writing and editing and all that. And it kind of segues into, there's another part of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have great compassion for people who don't know English, and another editing component that I do is I edit where English is someone's second language. There's a complete difference between it being your native language, where you learn all the subtle nuances to English, but if it's not your native language, there's so many things you're not going to know. Like there's 3 forms of the word there, or to, T-O, T-O-O, T-W-O. And as not being a native English speaker, you're not going to know that. And you might pick the wrong word, but a native English speaker can help spot that, make that correction. And if you're a academic or a researcher, like a scientist, because I edit those papers as well, and you submit that to a journal and you make that kind of a boo-boo, you know, they can say, gee, if that's not correct, like what else is inaccurate in the paper? So it's real important to have all that precise, and that's what I do also. So I do a lot of English as a second language editing for people.
I have a hard enough time with it. No, forget it. Hard enough time just as my primary.
When I'm around.
No kidding. Now I will tell anybody out there that is thinking that they need somebody like this to sit down and talk. I'm not going to say, I just believe that she probably sits down and talks with you and finds out if she can help you. And so I don't know if she just liked me a lot and gave me the free meeting consultation. I don't know. Maybe she just was hoping she could. Yeah, she needs help. No, but I would just say, I mean, I think anybody that we've had on this show, everybody wants to help each other, but we're all smart enough and savvy. I don't know if that's the right word, but just we know that there are people we can help and people we can't. So I would think, Jennifer, Karen, you know, if you sit with somebody and you just know, because I know you shared with me at one point, and I don't know the names, but you've had people that you've not been able to help.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you've made that determination.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something they wanted you to do that really you don't do. Maybe like you don't write a paper for somebody.
Right.
Okay, so go ahead.
I don't do the research and I don't write the paper. That's the responsibility of whether it's a student, whether it's a professor, or it's a scientist. They write the paper. I come in and edit it to make it more readable, make it clear. There's a great responsibility, I feel like, and a sense of fairness in that I want to capture their voice. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put words in their mouth or thoughts. And anytime I edit, there's a feature in Microsoft Word that I use that's track changes, so they can see every recommended edit that I'm making, and they have the complete option of accepting or rejecting that.
Oh.
Something or not. And then as I'm editing, if there's something that poses a question, something that's not clear, I will, leave them a message, and they can get back with me, and they can rework it and say, okay, is this better? An example of that, for 12 years I edited an international peer-reviewed dental journal. And one Saturday I was emailing back and forth with a dentist in Switzerland. Like Monday he was leaving for the equivalent of military service in his country. But we're going back and forth on this one sentence. He says, can I say it this way? And I go back and I email him back and say, can I suggest you're saying it this way? Mm-hmm. And we went back and like that for a few hours, waiting for him to receive my email while I waiting to receive his. Right. That's what took so long. And when we finally got it to where he was happy with it, I was happy with it, so it was a win-win.
But she's not. I mean, she. I'm sure you were very polite the whole time.
Very respectful.
Respectful.
For I studied French in high school, and to get my journalism degree many years later than going the traditional route, everyone told me, okay, Spanish is an easier language. So I walked into Spanish class. The minute I walked in, all the French came back to me. And I struggled.
Oh, sure.
What I should have completed, like 2 semesters, which is 1 year of Spanish, thank goodness IUPUI enabled me to do it in 3 semesters. And I still just barely got through it by the skin of my teeth. And there's another funny thing that just came up just the other day. When we were learning the Spanish in class, they would say, okay, now you're going to learn gerunds, now you're going to learn prepositions, you're going to learn this or that. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know what you call these things in English, but I know how to instinctively do them. So I had to go back to a basic high school English grammar book, look at what the terms were, look at, oh, is that what you call it, and then apply it to the Spanish that I was learning. But I just do it instinctually. And I was just working with a graphic designer the other day, and she was saying, okay, is set up 1 word or 2? And it's like, the way it's used in the sentence, it's 1 word. And then she said, okay, then it would be a noun as opposed to a verb or vice versa. And it's like, I don't know, I just know how to do it. And then we had to go back. We had to go back and figure which is the verb, which is the noun. And we had it correct in the sentence, but I just didn't know exactly what you call it, but I just know how to do it, like I said, instinctually.
Oh, thankfully. That's why you're meant to do that.
There's a lot to think about. I didn't even think about that. Once you change the word, just separating it makes it a
Or
different.
in some instances, do you hyphenate it? Is there a noun? If it's a verb, does it have a noun after it? Just lots and lots of detail.
That's too much.
And she's a one-woman show. I was going to say, I was trying to imagine all of her, she and her employees sitting around talking about gerunds and what is a gerund? Remind me of that. Is there I shouldn't put you on the spot. She doesn't know what it is.
I know what I see it.
Right.
I know what a split infinitive is, where...
do you know what a split
No.
I guess the expression is in Star Wars or something, or in Star Trek, to go where no other has gone before.
Really?
You're supposed to kind of say, part of that has to be flipped. And I forget how it works now. But that's incorrect grammar. Let's put it
Really?
Even though it's coined and everybody knows it and can just pull it off the tip of their fingers.
Well, and I know,
It's a split infinitive.
you have on your website, I know, you have pet peeves. I was actually trying to pull it up. You actually gave it, I think you supplied it here. I don't know if I've jumped ahead of what.
Sure.
Do you have some pet peeves that maybe you can share? Because that would be definitely one, I would think, as you see people using incorrect grammar.
I'm going to take a second. In line with
Yes.
my sense of humor and Top Dog Communications, I was meeting with a individual doing a one-on-one, and I said, do me a favor and dial my cell phone. And it has a deep bark of a dog. And I said, you can't be Top Dog Communications without having a barking dog for your phone.
That's right.
And neither can you miss having pet peeves on your website.
Right, exactly. Good point. I wasn't even thinking about it. Pet. Oh, there you go. That's why I'm not the wordsmith. That's why Karen is. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
That is awesome. So there's some that just really rub me the wrong way, and even newscasters say it, and I hear it by radio announcers, and it's, let's take a listen. You can't take a listen in your hand. You can listen, but you can't take a listen. Let's listen. Let us listen.
I don't think you said that today. You're okay.
I don't.
Yes, she did. Look, yes, she did.
I did not. Karen, they are not here. It's just you and me. Tell us some more about your pet peeves.
I just recently saw a blog, and I know there's a book out called The Mac is Not a Typewriter, or The PC is not a typewriter, and people commonly put 2 spaces after a period. And that goes back to, in old typewriter days, letters had different size spaces. Like an M takes up more space than the letter I or the letter L. And so at the end of, when you put a period, you put 2 spaces before you start the next sentence, to allow so that everything doesn't crowd together. Well, in today's computers, you don't need to do that anymore. You just need to put 1 space after the period, because the computer automatically adjusts the spacing between the letters so that it doesn't look like the L may be next to an M, and then, it just automatically spaces everything correctly to appeal to the eye, where on a typewriter it didn't do that.
Renee and I just
years.
That's
an easy fix. And I was telling a chemistry editor the other day, and he was like, "I never thought about this before." I said, every time I get a manuscript, I automatically in Microsoft Word do the search and replace technique, and I put 2 spaces in the search part, and then in the change part, I do single space, and then I do select all, and it automatically fixes that.
Oh, see, that's
throughout the whole document, so that I don't have to, as I'm reading it every time, take 1 extra space out after the period.
See the value that she brings to the table. She knows all these things.
When I saw her go in, I knew she was adding value to my life.
Now, I'm sure we're going to take a short break, because we're probably going to be back for maybe one more little bit, and then Mary Pat McKee with Indie Boomer is going to be. Do you have another pet peeve, though, Karen, maybe that you could share? You have a number of them, I know. So.
And I'm going to be looking for more.
Yeah.
But people are who? People are living beings. Things are that.
Okay.
And when people say, people that do things, that doesn't match. People are human beings, they're live beings, so they have to be who. They can't be inanimate objects. So when I see people write, I constantly change the people that to people who.
Oh.
Or things that do something, because things are inanimate objects. So these are just little.
Yeah, but that's why somebody hires her to do that. But so it's Karen at topdogcom.com, and we're going to be back for one more kind of winding this little afternoon up. And boy, we're going to be right back at Radio Next with Jennifer to the rescue. Thank you. Talk a lot about all the great credits to you, feathers in your cap. But there is, I thought it was neat when I first met you and you shared with me and showed me a copy of the Westview Hospital history that you were responsible for, right? Is that 2011?
I think I started it in 2009. I was commissioned to write the history of the 10 founders of Westview Hospital. It is the state's only osteopathic hospital. Originally there were others in the state, but they all had closed down. But it opened in 1975, and it has a very rich history, but only 2 of the 10 founders are still alive. One, Dr. Marie Sterling, was the visionary that said, if we don't capture this history now, with just 2 of us founding doctors left, the story won't be told. So I was commissioned and did a lot of research, went to the library, talked to a lot of people, and it's an absolutely fascinating story. And it was like it took 10 years to change some laws on the books in Indiana to allow osteopathic doctors to admit their patients to hospitals. Back in the 60s and early 70s, the osteopathic doctors would do home visits. But when a patient of theirs needed to go into the hospital, they had to turn that patient over to an MD. And only an MD could admit the patient to the hospital, treat the patient, whether it's surgery or medically related, Once the patient was released, the patient was returned back to the osteopathic doctor. Now, this was completely different in surrounding states such as Ohio, Illinois, west of us, like Missouri. So it was really frustrating for these doctors to say, you know, why don't we, if it takes this long to change the laws on the books, let's build our own hospital. And they would take, like, Sundays after church, drive around the city to find a location. Each one kicked in, I believe it was $5,000 each as seed money to incorporate and to start working with architects and select the site. And they really had to stretch into roles that they had never been exposed to before. They had to go into fundraising. They had to learn how to work with and talk with architects and talk the language and learn about mortgages and so many roles other than medically treating people. Mm-hmm. And in the book, it's available in the gift shop at Westview. It's a nominal, like $10 for the book. I highlighted and spotlighted Dr. Marie Sterling, her husband, Dr. I didn't print the names, I'm sorry. But the doctors whom I work with, there's wonderful profiles on each of them. They're just unique people, how they banded together. For the 10 years before the laws were changed on the books, they all met at a city-county kind of meeting once a month in an effort to change the laws on the books. And it took 10 years of determination. Only one was allowed to speak at these meetings, but it took 10 years for that to finally change and turn around so that they could build their hospital. Their original plans for the hospital was a 3-story hospital. Mm. In 10 years, with the cost of materials, the time it took to change the laws on the books, the hospital is a 1-story, and it's kind of like circular, or it has, you know, different wings, but just due to the cost of the materials and times have changed. So their dream kind of got scaled down. In January of 2012, the hospital became part of the community hospital system. Oh, okay. So a lot has even changed since I was working with community, which now they're able to, I'm sure, afford many more services and partnerships. And it's really exciting that I believe it was last year, the state's only osteopathic school of medicine opened at Marian University. So it's really opened up many, many more opportunities for Westview as it moves forward. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful story.
So they need to pick it up at Westview, the gift shop. That's wonderful. And it is Karen Wilczewski with Top Dog Communications, but it's topdog.com, and it's Karen Wilczewski. And I am just so happy. Like I said, every week we just have a wonderful time, and I want to thank our guests for coming in today. We hear Jennifer Sievers-Stokes with Tuned In Coaching. Thank you very much for hanging around. We kept everybody around, you know, Jennifer, because you're a musician, and I figured you could sing, and I know Karen can sing. So and Renee, you can definitely sing. There you go. She can sing. But last week we were kind of starting the song in the wrong key. Now, you know, if you tune us out for the song, come back, because Mary Pat McKee with Indie Boomer magazine's coming. Nope, she's not coming. She's on hiatus. Oh, I've been telling people that. Okay. No. I don't know about you ladies. I'm getting tired, but we can take our time with our finale song anyway. Okay, this is actually, what is this? Well, I don't know if there's a name. Who wants to start? Give us a key, Jennifer. This is yeah, she's the classically master piano lady.
Automatic pitch.
Yeah, you do?
Well, a piano.
Oh, okay, there you go. Okay. Well, we thank you for sticking around, and here we're going to try our finale song. Ready? I'm so glad we had this time together, just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, God, comes the time we have to say so long. We're all pulling our ears. And you know what? Just one real last, it's clapping. Can I say one thing? I'm going to be at the Noblesville Farmers Market this weekend singing. So join us out there if you're not doing anything, although you should be listening to Jumbo Love.